Hello and welcome to another edition, episode number 48 of the Lab Epstein Hitting Podcast. My name is Jim, standing in a room in my house in Tampa Bay, and joining me is my friend, co-host, professional evaluator, former coach, successful business owner, Jake Epstein. I don't have a tagline for you this week. I was going to give you a tagline this week, but I thought of something else at the moment, and that germ of an idea kind of broke off into many stems of ideas, and it took me like an hour to get back to what I was doing, which was prepping for the show. So my apologies. Maybe next week.
Yeah, well, I know last time I talked too soon during your intro, and you got mad at me. So I wanted to make sure that I kept my mouth shut this time.
I was just kidding that time. I was just kidding last week. But I thought that was a really good one, and you came barreling through. Barreling in.
Take it. Couldn't take it.
So you and I were talking off air about Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker, a little bit about him, but more so Jack Leiter and what he did on Friday night with Vanderbilt. You were watching the games. I did not watch the games. I've seen Jack Leiter pitch, and I've said to you, I think he can pitch in the big leagues right now. But some of the things that stand out, I'm just going to kind of hand it off to you, and then I'm going to give my opinion on something. But some of the things that stand out with him, in your eyes and what you see, I just see a kid right now, and I'm going broad strokes here, but I see a kid right now who absolutely can pitch in the big leagues tomorrow.
Yeah, the last guy I saw that looked like that, and when I was at Mizzou in 2018, we faced Rocker, so I saw him in person. But the last guy I really saw dominate games was Mark Pryor. We played against Mark Pryor twice when he was at USC. Actually, he used to be at Vanderbilt before SC, and he was like that. His extension was amazing. He almost looked like when he delivered the ball, he was just putting it in the catcher's mitt. Like you didn't have any time to react to a pitch, and it came out of nowhere. Like his arm was so fast. Yeah. And I see the same thing with Leiter. Like his arm action is just electric. He really keeps the ball down, but he keeps it down on a flat trajectory, like probably only 5 or 6 degrees drop on his fastball. I shouldn't say most, but a lot of big leaguers that throw hard, 95, when they throw it at the belt, when they're trying to ride high spin rate fastballs, you're looking at a 4-degree downslope. Leiter's able to get a 6-degree, which is very flat, at the bottom of the strike zone, which makes it tough to hit. It really does. Like it's tough. And he's got a good breaking ball. And you know what? He's confident. You can look at his legs and know he's going to be a power pitcher. Like he is so athletic coming off. And the reason he is because Jack attended an Epstein hitting camp in Mountainside, New Jersey, probably 10 years ago. And the lower body stuff that we taught him at that, it was funny. I actually texted Al Leiter last night, who we haven't talked in probably 4 or 5 years. Yeah. And I just said, Jack sure is fun to watch. Can't believe you brought him to a hitting camp, and tried to make him into a hitter 10 years ago or something like that. So we shared a couple laughs, but I mean, he is fun to watch. Like that kid is competitive and he's electric. Yeah. And I would take him ahead of Rocker.
I would too. Yeah.
Rocker may have been tired, but Rocker throws. I don't have access to his TrackMan data this season, but I've seen him pitch 3 times, and I would say just by watching him, he's throwing over 65% breaking balls.
Right.
And he has an amazing breaking ball. His hard breaking ball is more of a slider or a slurve. Like that thing comes out and stays on the same plane as a fastball for a really long time. It really does. But no one's afraid of his fastball. And you can't be a power pitcher that's 260 pounds and throw 65% breaking balls. Like you're done. Yeah. Like your arm's not going to hold up to that. And that would scare me if I was going to draft him. And he's throwing 90 to 91, which he was the other night. He's throwing 65% breaking balls. Maybe he was tired. Maybe he was cold. But there's countless guys that throw 90, 91 at the college game. And to give somebody first round money that's throwing that velocity, I don't know. I mean, he throws strikes, so that's big. He throws strikes. He's got devastating breaking pitches, but he better find his velocity back, or I think it's going to cost him a lot of money here.
Yeah, and the thing about Leiter too, you notice every start, it's the same velocity on average, I think, 94 to 97. And and it gets on hitters quickly too.
It does, because he gets down the mound. Like if you see how wide, like where his stride leg is,
sure,
it's further than most people his size.
Yeah.
And so by the time he's extending, that ball's, that's 90. People always say, oh, 60 feet 6 inches, but the ball's released from like 54 feet usually.
Yeah.
With him, it might be 53 feet. With the big unit, it was like 51 feet, right?
Right.
And what people don't understand is, we have to make up our mind when the ball's 12 to 15 feet from the plate is like the that's the red line. So you really only have like 40 something feet to make up your mind at a ball moving 95. So when you have guys that throw hard and you have guys that have high spin rates, which means the ball stays in the air longer, which means they can extend more and keep the ball up at the bottom of the strike zone, that's a pretty good combination. And I'm not a pitching guy, but that's a good combination.
You mentioned too the game that was on Friday night and how the commentators were mentioning the exit velocity of hitters or how hard the ball was hit. And I just want to give, and you and I were talking about this too off air, and I want to give the commentators from college to even the pros to Major League Baseball a little bit of advice. It only really, if you're going to say the velocity, the exit velocity, please make it matter. Because if you're just saying the exit velocity to the audience member, it really doesn't matter. A lot of times they can kind of tell how hard it was hit off the bat, and set up your color commentator with it too, so you can give a poignant point that can push the broadcast forward. There's my advice for you, all of you people out there who are doing these games who want the exit velocity, and say the exit velocity.
You can try to, I don't know if your computer's on, but you can try to look this up. I don't know who was doing the color last night for the Vanderbilt Mizzou game, but they made a comment that, because the announcer says, oh, that ball was hit 108 miles an hour or whatever off the bat.
Yeah.
What did they used to do?
Right.
What did they used to say? And the guy was like, oh, you know who it was? It wasn't. It was the first game. It was Ben McDonald. So I think McDonald did the Thursday night game of that series.
Okay.
And McDonald says, well, you just knew. Like, that ball was hit really hard. We didn't know what it was hit, but it was hit really hard. And and it's true. It's like, and the harder balls are typically hit lower because you're hitting more of the ball. For instance, if you're going to launch a ball, there was a ball hit to right center, and I don't remember who hit it. It was a right-hand hitter for Vanderbilt, and he hit it to right center, opposite field on a 28-degree launch angle, and it was 108 miles an hour. And to me, that was about as impressive as I think you could get, to go opposite field at 108 miles an hour that high, because the pitch isn't coming down at 28 degrees. Yeah. So you can't swing up at 28 degrees to match it. That would mean you're hitting the whole ball. So the ball was probably only coming down 6 degrees, and he probably swung up, 6 to 10 degrees.
Yeah.
Right. And he hit the bottom of it. So you're not maximizing inertia. So, I mean, if you're hitting 108 to the opposite field on 28 degrees, that's a guy that's going to hit a ball 118 miles an hour if he hits it, low. So that is a strong, strong human being. And it was funny. He hit that the other way. And then they have a catcher who, God, what a gamer this guy is. He looks like, I don't know how tall he is. He looks like he's 5'8". And he might be 5'10", but he looks like he's 5'7" or 5'8" because everybody else on that team, has good size. But
sure,
he hit a home run, and it was like 101 or 102 miles an hour, to left field. And it was like, you don't have to, if you can create backspin and you can create leverage out in front, and that's where he hit it. He pulled it into the bullpen. You don't have to be a freak. Like, one guy was a freak. It was like Judge, hitting a ball to the opposite field. And the other guy was like, a smaller human that hit the ball, 8 miles an hour less, but he still was able to hit a home run because he did it right. And that's what, everybody's so concerned about chasing a number.
Yeah.
And, granted, I love the fact that you can hit balls hard, Like that's really important. But finding barrels also makes you hit the ball hard. You know, if you swing really, really hard, but you never hit it on the barrel, you're not going to have that exit velocity. So, you know, that's what I tell people. Once we get the swing point in, once you're consistent, once you're finding barrels, you're able to use the whole field. We can elevate to the pull side without sacrificing anything. Now you want to hit the ball harder? Get in the gym. Like, you know,
Yeah.
Let's get some deadlifts. Let's get some squats. Let's do some core work. Let's, you know, and that's what it is. You put on 10 pounds of muscle, you're going to hit the ball probably 5 miles an hour harder. It's that simple.
So I hope all the commentators were just listening to that exchange we just had. That's in-game. That's the type of in-game exchange you should have when you mention an exit velocity for any hitter, college or pro, like we just did.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I was trying to find out what it was. I'll have to contact, you know, one of my buddies that's still at Mizzou, but the catcher, Rocker, this highlight has to be somewhere, but Trey Morris, who was a catcher, hit a ball back at Rocker's head. It had to be 100 miles an hour. And Rocker, I mean, if he didn't get his glove up, like he's in big trouble. And it was a very athletic play. Rocker is one heck of an athlete. But it would be interesting. They didn't say how hard that ball was hit, but it was boom, boom, and scary.
Scary. Shifting gears here. So you take Jack Leiter number one, just to be clear, right?
I would.
Yeah, same.
I mean, I haven't seen. There's a couple other guys. I think Mississippi State has a guy.
Yeah.
I think Auburn has a pitcher. Of the people that I've seen, there would be no doubt in my mind that I would take him number one. Yeah. And I've seen most of the position players, all the position players. You know, I've done reviews on, and I would probably take Leiter.
Yeah. So Leiter would be number one, and he'd be in the big leagues, what, in about a year and a half, probably
next year.
Right. Yeah. And
I mean, I think he would take an easy path this summer. You know, he's going to probably have 20 starts this year.
Yeah.
Maybe give him 5 or 6 starts, maybe if he signs. Yeah. And then crank him up for spring training, maybe ship him out to Double-A.
Yeah.
And by the end of next year, I would say he's in the big leagues.
Yeah. And I've said on the show before, I'm not big on taking college pitchers very high. I'm more from the school of taking high school pitchers, but he is kind of he's a no miss kind of guy. You can't really pass up.
Well, he's a sophomore, so he's an old sophomore. He's draft eligible sophomore. He only threw 5 starts last year because of the short season. As a freshman, he's as fresh as you're going to find.
Yeah.
At age 21, like you're probably not going to find somebody with less innings than him.
Yeah. Shifting gears here, Mike Bell, the Twins bench coach, passed away last week. We want to give our condolences to the Bell family. Buddy Bell, of course, is his father. David Bell is his brother. I remember David.
Yeah, what
Bell
a family.
Time from with the Royals No, I'm sorry, he was with the Phillies. Might have been with the Royals. And of course, Buddy Bell as well. So kind of a baseball royalty type family. So our condolences go out to the Bell family. Also, some other news throughout Major League Baseball this week. Eloy Jimenez of the White Sox is out 5 to 6 months with a pec injury. So speaking about a bounce back year, which is the topic of our program today, Eloy Jimenez now is out 5 to 6 months. So he's already looking forward to 2022, which will be his bounce back year. And those pec injuries are always scary. I'll tell you, every time I get under a bench press, bench to press up, that's the one thing I worry about. The only thing I don't worry when I have, close to 400 pounds on my back squatting, even with a
on your bicep curl. Oh,
I worry about when I'm bench pressing, I worry about my pec just tearing. That's always a scary injury. And you don't know the true timetable of it. It could be 5 to 6 months, could be 7 to 8. So our best wishes to Eloy Jimenez in his recovery, and certainly bright future ahead. And it's kind of a blow for the White Sox as well.
Yeah. That's a tough one. Like that's a nasty one to come back.
Yeah. And one final note here, and I want to get your opinion on this. I'm watching a lot of spring training games, and I'm kind of just tuning in and out, and I see these mic'd up players. Are you for that or against it? Just curious. Some fans are for it. Others are saying it's stupid.
Yeah, I think it depends on the person. I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm for it or against it. I mean, for spring training, I think it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Probably not for a playoff game, which
No.
I think they did last year, right? It wasn't Justin Turner or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think for some guys, it's fun to, hear what they're thinking sometimes or when they're joking. And, but no, I don't think I'd be for that during the regular season.
Once again, it's not done correctly. You can't just. I don't want to just hear talking to the players. I want to hear try to get inside their mind a little bit.
Yeah, I think you have to go through and edit it, and sometimes they'll say, here was an exchange, from last inning. And I think that's kind of cool. But just giving somebody a hot mic, might not be a great idea.
Yeah. A reminder that we are getting closer to our show having a visual element, April 12th. That's our 50th episode. So if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube page. And you can go back in the archives as well and re-listen to our Mechanical Breakdown series and follow along with the analysis. You can go to the Epstein Hitting Facebook page. Next week, we actually have a Mechanical Breakdown series, episode number 49. We'll reveal who we are breaking down. This will be a fun one. We've talked about him on this show a little bit. We'll reveal that at the end of the program. We do have a listener question. And this comes to us from Jim in Tampa, Florida, a loyal listener to the show and a heck of a producer and partner and friend and editor. And
he's one hell of a guy.
Graphic designer, heck of a brother, 30 years running of Son of the Year. Well, Jim writes, "Hi, guys. Great show. I really enjoy listening every single week. The question I have for you is how does one go about helping his 10-year-old godson fix his hand drop, causing a long bat path, and his bat drag?" And that comes to us from Jim from Tampa, Florida. He didn't write in to jimbopodcast21@gmail.com, but that's how the listeners can write in.
Yeah. Well, Jim, it reminds me of Blazing Saddles. When the guy says, which was the movie I was raised on, good or bad, but now you can see why I am who I am. He says, "My name is Jim, but most people call me Jim." And it's Gene Wilder who says it because he's in a drunken state. But whenever you say your name, I think of Gene Wilder. How do you fix that? You join the Epstein Online Academy because every drill I have is dedicated for that move. I have, we're hiring some new instructors in Texas, and I'm going to take them through my teaching, kind of a mini certification course, if you will, because that's the one thing that every 10-year-old does, or 99% of them do. So, I mean, what we do is we set the bat up at a position where it stays close to the body. It stays close to the shoulder. We keep the back armpit open a little bit to make sure that there's no manipulation. And then we get them to turn slightly before they move their elbows and hands. And that's the thing. It's sequencing. They want to go hands and then turn.
Right.
And we have to be able to use our body first. So there's a lot that goes into that. I wish I could just spit it out in, 2 minutes. But it's a very long process that has to be fixed for every young player to be successful when they get older.
Yeah. Did you just kind of answer the question, but also go right into our segue of your commercial for the Epstein Online Hitting Academy? I think you just did.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm getting the hang of this. So
I got to tell you, you're getting great
at
podcasting and hosting. I got to tell you, you're getting the hang of it.
Co-hosting. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of funny how Jim from Tampa Bay just kind of served that one up.
Yeah. It's funny how life works sometimes. Life always works out in mysterious ways, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does.
So, Jim, thanks for the question. And also, if you would like, Jim and everybody else listening, you can sign up for the Epstein Online Hitting Academy and go about it that way as well. So I hope we answered his question.
Yeah, and we've had probably another handful of over the past week or so, maybe 4 or 5 new people that joined the online academy that are listeners that wrote in and said they listened to the podcast. So, of course, they're super happy with the first one. They're all excited. One college player too.
Oh, really?
Maybe two college players. Yeah.
Are they softball or baseball players?
Baseball. Two baseball players. Yeah. One D1, one D2. So cool to try to help them through the season. I wonder
if they listen to the podcast on the bus rides.
It's a great idea.
If you do, write in jimbopodcast21@gmail.com.
Let us know.
Yes, please. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast. New episodes every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern time on Apple, Google, Spotify, and TuneIn Radio, the app, Pandora, and our YouTube page is up and running. The Lab Epstein Hitting podcast for archived episodes, soon to be new video episodes and clips as well. And follow us on social media at Jim Tara, at Epstein Hitting on both Twitter and Instagram. Let's get into our topic today, episode number 48, a bounce back year. This is more so for high school, college, and pro. When you're 9-10 years old, sorry to those parents who have kids that age. There's really no such thing as a bounce back year because you're playing so many different sports. Same thing in high school too. So we're not really targeting you today. So if you want, with our blessing, you may go click off and listen to some other shitty podcasts that you may but this one today,
we'll compare. At some point you're gonna have to bounce back. Even if it's a bad week, you gotta bounce back, right? So
yeah, that's fair.
We can always get better.
Always. But let's discuss the one question I had about I'm starting kind of backwards here, but with the pros. It's easy to have a bounce back year if you're, say, a Bryce Harper, right? Mm-hmm. Because you have a locked-in contract. But if you're a guy who's kind of on the fringe, say like a Mike Tauchman, for example, a Jay Bruce, if you will, right? Yeah. Guys who, again, are on the fringe of making the big league roster, which they have with the Yankees. That was just announced. It seems like you put more pressure on yourself to have that bounce back year, because if not, you may not get a job and you may, be released or get sent down to the minor leagues.
Yeah. I'll use the example of Omar Narvaez, who, is a catcher for the Padres. I'm sorry, for the Brewers, mm-hmm. who is, he's not old, right? He's under 30, and he's always hit. He came up, I think, with the White Sox, and he spent a year or two in Seattle, but he's always been a 270 hitter, anywhere from, I don't know, maybe 265 to 285, something like that. And he's always, I think 1 year he hit over 20 home runs, and then he came to Milwaukee and was awful last year. Right? Mm-hmm. He hit under 200, and I got videos sent. What are we seeing here? What's going on? And he did have, some mechanical issues. So I've been following him a little bit more because of that. And he's having a very good spring this year, but mm-hmm. he didn't want to change anything. So, I mean, here's one person's mindset was, I've had 4 good years and 1 bad year, or 3, something like that. Right. And it was a weird short season, and maybe I'm just going to forget about it and do what I do. So he chose to really not change anything mechanically, maybe just, his mindset. And so I was listening to an interview with Craig Counsell a couple days ago, and it was like, oh, why is he doing well? And there was no answer. Like, I don't think he did anything. Like, I think he's just hitting the ball well because it's spring training and guys throw a lot of fastballs, so sure. We'll see kind of what happens there. But, I think, pressure, obviously, if you can take that pressure, but that pressure's there. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a bounce back year. You have to do something to keep your job and to feed your family. So I would take more of a proactive approach. Why was I bad? So what they were saying was, what I heard Counsell say was something like, well, he wasn't getting in a good position to fire his swing. Okay. So that usually is timing and rhythm would be my guess. That would be the answer to that. So, if that's what it is, I wasn't getting into position on time. I wasn't doing this. I would work on rhythm all winter. I would work on seeing live arm. I would work on, machines that I could time, starting early and controlling my rhythm and stride, things like that. And then I would definitely work on my swing plane. If my misses were all to the opposite field side, popping up and fouling off, I would work on fixing that. I would take a Yelich approach and swing down in batting practice. That's just what I would do. So if I'm having a bounce back and I don't do anything, to me as a player, why would I be any better if I didn't do anything?
Right.
I need to do something. It doesn't mean I need to do a wholesale change. And at age 28 or 29 or whatever he is, or other players are, making a wholesale change to your swing doesn't work. Like, look at golfers, and that ball's not even moving. So you got to make a wholesale change when you're under 20. You know, if you're in a minor league system, something like that, you better have pretty good mechanics. You know, once you're older than that, but you have to do something. Yeah, I mean, you have to be. I was bad. Why was I bad? What was my miss? You know, if I'm a golfer, my miss is I hook.
Yeah.
2 times around, I hook a ball out of bounds. It cost me 4 strokes around. Okay, I'm never going to hit a hook again. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the mindset. That's what golfers do. So baseball players, like, what is my miss? It's a rollover. It's a pop up this way. I want to do it everything I can in practice so that is minimized and doesn't show up. And if I do that, maybe I save 20 at bats. Maybe instead of popping up just to this, you know, if I'm a left-handed hitter, to the left fielder 20 times, maybe I take half of those and I hit line drives up the middle because I didn't lose my barrel. Boom. Now my average is up. Now my confidence is up, and we can kind of rock and roll. So anyway, I do think there's different mindsets. I don't think Bryce Harper has a mindset of, I'll just bounce back and get him next time. He's a worker. He's going to figure something out. Yeah,
but mentally the pressure's not there. I don't think.
No.
I don't think so.
Well,
based off the contract. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not, but
not based on money. I mean, he's made his money. It's based on pride. I think Bryce Harper has a lot of pride. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so handsome and have such a great beard and hair.
Yeah. Well, he's got hair products that I noticed that are in store now, and beard products too.
Oh, well, there you go. Like, I mean, no, I think that guy's got a lot of pride in what he does on the field. Right. So whether he's making, $150,000 a game or no money a game, I think he is pissed off if he goes over 4.
Right.
But I gotta get a contract. You go in that. There's definitely more pressure on those guys than the other guys. For sure there is.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're going into a bounce back year though, as a hitter, how do you, this is something I never figured out as a player. How do you mentally throughout the whole winter harness that energy and direct it into the place where it needs to be so you can actually get better and set yourself up to have that bounce back year rather than putting so much pressure on yourself that you're squeezing the shit out of the bat and you're not hitting, and it's the same movie from the year before.
Yeah, I think it's preparation.
Yeah,
you have to prepare. If you prepare and you put in the work, you're gonna feel like you're better.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of like you go to the gym, you work out, and then you put on your shirt that's a little bit too tight. But you're like, I worked out today. I look better in this shirt. My biceps are popping. My chest is popping a little more because I worked out. But if you don't work out for 2 weeks, you put that same shirt on, you're probably like kind of looking a little soft here. And I think that's what it's like for baseball players. If you put in the time and you hit and you work and you outwork other people, then you feel good when you get in the box. But if you're underprepared, it's like taking a test, right? Did you prepare for that test? Did you not prepare for the test? If you go into a test you didn't prepare for, you're not going to be confident that you're going to do well on it. So prepare. If you prepare well, you're going to give yourself a best chance for success, not only physically in the batter's box, but also mentally, because you're going to be confident.
Yeah, but I think there's a fine line. I know what you're saying, but there's also that fine line of too much preparation for some people as well, and just trying to keep it simple too. I mean, you mentioned before, identify what the problem is and then work on that. Don't try to do so many things at once. Yeah,
I mean, everybody is different. I mean, I think I tell this story, and I don't know how long it lasted, but I grew up with Eric Chavez, who's first rounder for the A's, we played 15 years in the big leagues between the A's and the Yankees and Diamondbacks. Anyway, grew up with him. So we played, I think, since we were 13, right, on the same travel team. And then we were on the same high school team. So we're playing a travel team. I told the story when I got lit up. Remember, as a catcher, it was the first time I got taken out. Didn't know where I was after I picked up all my gear. So it was that same tournament. Eric was bad. Like the only time in his whole life he was bad. He was like 1 for 15, and he was a guy that would go 10 for 15, like against the best competition ever. So we lose. It's the Connie Mack like regional. We lose it, but about 6 of us go. We were on the area code team, the San Diego area code team. So we're kind of like, well, it sucks we're not going to the World Series for Connie Mack, which is like the biggest one. But we were going to have to make a really tough decision. Do we go to the World Series or do we go to area code? Because you kind of have to go to area code. So we lose. We go back to San Diego. The 6 of us are like, hey, let's keep working out. Area codes in 10 days or something like this. Let's stay sharp. Some pitchers will throw, hitters will. Eric's like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I'm just going to hang out and do whatever. Like, go to the beach or, hang out with my girlfriend or, I don't know what he did. So we're like, really? Like, yeah, I'm good. So we all work our ass off. We show up at area code. And we haven't seen Eric, but he looks good because he's all tanned up from being at the beach for a week.
Yeah.
And the first pitch he sees, he hits about 420 feet home run, like a big league sky ball home run. It was like the only home run in the whole tournament he hit.
Yeah.
And it was like he needed 10 days off to just chill out and reset.
Yeah.
And then boom, he was fresh. But if he would have gone and worked out a lot, he probably would have. That was his personality. I probably would have just beat him up. He would have been tired.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't have been fresh. But I think it was like he took some time off, and then it was like, all right, now I'm ready to go. I'm eager.
Mm-hmm. And
he was fine. So to each their own. I guess I'm speaking from a personal, viewpoint because I wasn't overly talented like that. I had to work. Like I'd go to practice when I was in college. I would, wake up, go to class. Go to practice from 2 to 5, go to study hall till 6:30, eat, and then I would go and hit more in the indoor facility till about 10 o'clock at night. Like that's just what I did because I felt better and more prepared if I did that. Where if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be as confident when I got up to the plate. So maybe I did that a couple of times, then I got a couple hits, and now I'm like, shit, I better keep doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
So to each their own for that, but I don't think a player can get into trouble by working on we all have our issues.
Sure.
And I think by working on your issues, you're going to be more confident. And then obviously physically, you're going to be better at those issues. You're not going to do them. You're still going to have that issue. Like the pitch away to me and down just wasn't a good pitch for me to hit.
Yeah.
So I would just work on it, hitting line drives into right field. I never tried to do too much with it. And I felt like with 2 strikes, if I got in the game and I did that, I'll tell you what, I remember a ball I hit. Oh, I wish I knew who we were playing at Fullerton. It may have been like UCLA or something, but I hit a 2-strike base hit into right field. It was on the outside corner or maybe a ball at the plate. And I hit like 2 home runs in that same game. But I'm like more proud of that 2-strike ball I hit to right field because that was the hardest thing for me to do. Getting a belt high fastball down the middle, like I was going to hit that.
Yeah.
But getting a pitch low and away that I would normally strike out on and I was able to hit a line drive to right field, like I still remember that to this day. And it was a long time ago. You can tell by that gray in my beard, which everyone will see in 2 weeks.
I can't really tell for the record.
If I was blonde, I would have been okay.
Let me throw a name out at you for a guy who's got to have a bounce back year. Chris Bryant. And you've actually done a breakdown of him on the Epstein Hitting Facebook page. Along with our other Mechanical Breakdown series episodes. He's a guy who has to have a bounce back year. What should be, as much as, you mentioned Narvaez, but what should his approach be now? Because he's been an MVP. He's been a guy who's been one of the most lethal hitters throughout baseball, and he's sort of dropped off a little bit.
Yeah, Chris Bryant's that's a fun one.
Yeah.
I think he needs to get out of Chicago.
Yeah.
I think that would help. I think his time there is kind of past. I am very proud of my Chris Bryant analysis because when he first came up, he was supposed to be, God's greatest gift to hitting, and he's pretty good, right? He's electric. But when I did a review, I said it's not a swing plane that is going to hit for a big average. Now he still hits with that swing plane. He still hits over 260, which most people in Major League Baseball would not. So that's how talented this guy is.
Right.
But I will tell you that his miss is underneath. And because his bat speed is so great and his misses underneath, you can't have two misses. You can't drop your barrel, which he does.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can't flip your wrists over to correct it. Okay. You got to just deal with one miss. So his miss is either, under where he misses it, under where he hits a pop-up, or under where he hits a home run. Like those are his misses. He's taken out one of those outs. And I think that is why he's successful, is that he doesn't have a two-way miss. Like if he's going to drop his barrel, he's just going to hit a fly ball. How does he have a bounce back year? I think he's a guy, which is funny because I watch him train too. Like when they show, snippets, I don't know him in person, but he's a guy that swings up a lot more in games than he does in practice, right? Like he knows he's trying to hit the bottom of the ball, but it doesn't mean you got to drop your barrel to drop the bottom of the ball. So I think he's trying to flatten out to do it. He's so strong. He creates so much barrel speed and whip. Like his body works really well. I mean, I would love to flatten his swing plane a few degrees instead of him swinging up like 15 to 20 degrees. If he could be at like 8 to 12, gosh, I think he could hit 315, 320 with 40 jacks. I really think he's that talented. So for him, I think personally he could have a swing change because I could see the benefits. I understand that swing change. And it won't take away any of his power numbers either.
Right.
So, he needs to, because he's got a contract year coming up, right? Isn't he a free agent? So he's got to find a way to be successful. I haven't really seen a lot of him the last couple of years, but he's definitely not feared as much as he was his first 3 years in the league.
Right. So 15, 16, 17. For the record, I have a source who tells me that Chris Bryant is a great teammate.
I bet he is. Yeah.
I'll tell you, Kyle Ryan is his name, left-handed pitcher for the Cubs. He works out at my gym, and we've worked out. I'm sorry, I'm bragging here. I don't mean to brag. I'm just using it as an example, people. But we've worked out together, and we've talked. We've talked, and he's always told me Chris Bryant's an excellent teammate. So
he seems like a cool dude.
Yeah.
Like one of my students, Dylan Hopp, played with him at USD. So Dylan hit behind him the year he hit like 30 home runs in college. So I asked Dylan if he gave him part of his signing bonus, and Dylan said he didn't. I was like, dude, you just got that guy paid. They couldn't walk him every time. Dylan was a good hitter too. Yeah. He's like, no, but I got a bunch of bats. Yeah. It's like, okay.
Maybe if he invites Chris Bryant to his wedding someday, Chris will give him a nice check.
Maybe.
Because he's going to get paid. I mean, after this year, somebody's going to give him
I can't. I mean, even I would think his arbitration would have been pretty good too over the last few years. But
he had he had the 6 years instead of the 5, right? He had the 6 years because they held him back for.
So in 2017, he made $1 million. In 2018, he went from 1 million to 10 million. Yeah, almost 11 million. Holy cow.
I know.
Then he went to 12, almost 13 million. Last year, he made 18.6 million. Who needs free agency?
Right. Just go year to year.
Right? Just be good and then win your arbitration. So he's made $44 million in 6 seasons. Yeah. I'd say that's okay.
The Dodgers a couple of years ago when Bryce Harper was a free agent, they offered him, I think, what was a 2-year deal worth like $40 million or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea to work around the contract rules and the CBA of having to pay a guy, lock him in for 10 years. Why not just do 2 years? And then, who knows?
Well, I know that was Bauer was
right.
He said, I just want to sign 1-year deals.
Right.
And I'll prove to you how great I am.
Yeah. With my one eye closed.
One eye. He's so funny, that guy.
You know how many Mets fans I saw on Twitter that have said, thank God we really dodged a bullet with this guy?
Yeah, I don't think you dodged a bullet with him.
He got lit up the other day. But, the start before that, he was pretty good.
Yeah, that dude, he's a competitor.
Yeah.
Like that's the reason you sign big deals if for baseball, because they're guaranteed. Right. You get hurt, like especially a pitcher.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, that's ballsy to sign a 1-year deal, because you could sign a 3-year deal, get hurt after the first year, and be like, oh, my bad. I'm getting paid hanging out in Arizona.
Yeah.
On rehab. What was that dude's name for the center fielder for the Ellsbury, right? Ellsbury.
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I mean,
you don't even remember
good.
his name. That's how insignificant his end of his career
right.
was.
And they were paying. I mean, he had just signed a deal with the Yankees, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For a ton of money. And I don't know if he ever played.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he had any at bats.
Right. Last couple of years of that contract, he was non-existent. And
right.
that opened the door for Aaron Hicks to get paid, by the way. Speaking of having some bounce back years, Aaron Hicks with the Yankees. And sometimes too, the bounce back year, it's a change of scenery, new place. That does wonders, I think, for hitters a lot of times.
Yeah. No, it really does.
Yeah. Let's shift gears to college now. It's a little bit different because the depth chart is deeper, and there's a lot of talented players. And you mentioned on previous episodes this year, there's 50, 60 guys on a roster. But even with that, sometimes there's 30 to 35 guys on a roster on a normal year. So the depth chart is pretty large. What's the mindset for a college player trying to have a bounce back year when you have no money involved, just scholarship, but no money is being paid to you, and you've got a bunch of guys, 3 shortstops behind you nipping at your heels?
Yeah, there's always money at stake. My dad used to say that.
Yeah.
College is money. You're going to college, like you want to play baseball, even if you're a walk-on, like you have a chance to play at the next level and get paid. So it's not a hobby. Like there's pride, and you're trying to be. Otherwise, you're not an athlete. If you're not competitive, and I see it with my kids. I have 3 kids. And one of them will bite your face off if you get ahead of her in line, right? Yeah. And then the other one will open the door for everyone. Oh, sure, come on in. Hi, how are you? Right? And it's like, well, one's not an athlete, Yeah. She's going to be an awesome person and a great business person and designer, but she's not a step on your back or neck personality to get ahead.
Right.
She's probably not going to work at Wall Street either with that mentality. Maybe we can change that. But some people are. So I think there's always pride at stake. Like you don't put in the time. College baseball players, I mean, good Lord, like those guys. For instance, there was a game Thursday night, right? We'll talk about the Vanderbilt game, Mizzou game Thursday night, right? It was a 7:00 game. Probably got done about 10:15. You probably, you got cleaned up, 10:30, 10:40. Then you ate. There was a spread. Now you get out of there at 11. You go home. You probably fall asleep. You're all jacked up, right, from the intensity of the game. Maybe you fall asleep at midnight, and then you got to wake up and go to class at like 8. And then you got to do it all over again. Yeah. It's so difficult to be a college. Like you get to pro ball, you're like, dude, what do I do all morning? I don't have a game till 7:00. I don't have to go to class for 3 hours or work out or anything,
This is your job now.
This is right. And so it's like, okay, now you got to fill that time with positive work, whether it's working out or nutrition or stretching, whatever you're, doing to get better that day. But I think college players, it's bounce back and you're trying to. Sometimes college is tough. Well, I guess it's the same as the minor leagues, right? Because there's always people behind you pushing you. Sure. And sometimes you're that player that's in the background and you're out working everyone and you just don't get a chance, because maybe you're an underclassman. Maybe you're undersized. Maybe the guys in front of you have scholarships and you're a walk-on. Whatever it is, that makes it very frustrating, for those players that do work hard. Now, if they're lazy, then that's who cares. But when you are working, sometimes you would like to see that, come to fruition. Like give me a chance. Yeah. Let me do something. Let me fail. If I fail, then you can tell me that I suck and it's okay that I'm third string. Right, but it's hard to be in there, and it's really hard. And you see it in college all the time. Like, why does that guy get the opportunity to fail every single game? Why does he get the opportunity to make errors? Why does he get the opportunity to strike out and go 0 for 4 all the time? I have one. You've given me one opportunity, and sometimes you have to look in the mirror, and sometimes it's defense, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's speed. Sometimes there's a dynamic piece that you might be missing, and you just have to be ready to go. You always have to be ready to go, whether you're a backup or you're a starter.
Yeah.
You can't take an inning off. You can't take a pitch off. If you do, somebody is always going to be there to take it from you.
Right. And sometimes it's just the way the lineup plays out. I mean, in college,
yeah,
you hear, I mean, I think that saying of, if you hit, they'll find a place for you. I think it's true to some extent, but in other parts, there's a lot more moving parts, if you will. I mean, parts, say parts again, Jim. There's a lot more moving parts, though, that go along with that.
Yeah, it's true. Like, it was fun. Like, I watched the Mizzou game, right? And the guy that hit the ball the hardest against Rocker was a guy named Trey Morris, who was catching.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden against Leiter, he doesn't catch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was the only guy in the whole lineup that hit the ball hard in the game. They take him out, and he doesn't play. And they bring in another catcher who I don't know, who wasn't there when I was there. Mm-hmm. And he was overmatched, right? I mean, he dropped some balls. There was a pass. He dropped a pop-up, like a, foul ball. He didn't get any hits. Obviously, Leiter struck everybody out,
Yeah.
So then late in the game, Missouri still has no hits. They have no hits. It's the bottom of the ninth inning. Who do they bring in to try to break up the no-hitter? The guy that hit the ball hard 3 times off Rocker. What does he do? He gets a base hit to right field.
Right.
So it's like, sometimes, for me, now maybe he was banged up. Maybe he was hurt. Maybe his arm was sore, so he couldn't catch. But to me, I'm like, okay, here's a guy that has been hitting the ball at least consistently. I'm going to run that guy out there until he doesn't.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like, oh, a coach will see a matchup. Well, Leiter's got a good fastball, and this guy, maybe his bat speed isn't quite as good, so we'll go with this. And sometimes as a coach, we overthink things. Big league coaches don't think that. I mean, everybody throws 95 in the big leagues, but, they don't. It's like, here's my guys. These are my main guys. I'm going to run them out there. And if they fail, okay, then I will make a change. But it's not, this guy throws a sinker, this guy throws a slider, this hitter doesn't do that. No, you have to let them go out there and get comfortable. And if they fail, they fail. But more often than not, if you're confident in your players and you've chosen the right players to go out there and do it, they're going to succeed for you.
Yeah.
Unless you have Jack Leiter throwing 96 miles an hour with a 6-degree downslope at the knees.
Yeah, and who should really be pitching in the big leagues like today. All right,
he shouldn't be a college pitcher. Rocker shouldn't have been a college pitcher. There's a lot of guys that shouldn't go to college.
Yeah.
They should just sign. But they get them. At schools like that have charter 737s, it's a lot more glamorous than going to the minor leagues and riding a bus, right?
Well, and you know what? With the draft now and the rounds the way they are, you're going to see a lot more Jack Leiters and Kumar Rockers in college on both the pitching and hitting side too, because they're not getting drafted. If they're not getting drafted in the first couple of rounds, hey, I'm coming to college. I would think. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong.
It's just like different bodies. Like usually you see those big bodied guys, they sign.
Right.
It is a different body. But they end up at Vanderbilt. They have all like the USA baseball guys end up at Vanderbilt. But Vanderbilt threw a guy into pinch hit last night. He was 6'7", 225 pounds.
Yeah.
Like he looked like a big league left fielder, man. I mean, the body on this guy was a freshman.
Yeah.
Or a sophomore or something. I'm like, where did this guy come from? He would start anywhere. Like I looked at his swing and beautiful. Yeah. I'm like, this guy's not even starting there. And he's a sophomore. Like he would start anywhere in the country with that body and that ability. So some guys, some institutions have better recruiting practices, a little bit more money to give their players and better facilities. And that's where guys are going to go when they should go where they're going to play. Man, woman, or child, go where you're going to play.
Well, it sounds like that kid's who's 6'7", I'm just going to say, probably shouldn't be playing at Vanderbilt. He should be playing somewhere else in the SEC where he gets a chance to play.
And he probably will. He'll probably play his junior year. He'll play 1 year and get drafted or something like that.
Right. Right.
But it's like he could have played 3 years.
Yeah. Do you think anybody beats Vanderbilt this year in college baseball? Or are we looking at the...
You mean like, are they going to go back to bat? Like, are they going to lose any games, or are they going to?
Well, no, Series? I mean the College World Series.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe like a Someone out
somebody
west.
has some pitching. Who has Arkansas always has good pitching. Somebody else in the SEC. I think Mississippi State. Mississippi State, I haven't seen them play this year, is supposed to have a deeper staff than Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know who else Vanderbilt has besides those two guys, because they just throw no-hitters in complete games all the time. So
right. Yeah, he was taken out last night, Leiter.
He was,
or Friday night,
I kind of get it. Like that's a ballsy move for a coach.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. He let Rocker throw 900 breaking balls the night before.
Yeah.
And a lot of pitches, and he obviously didn't have his stuff.
Yeah.
But Leiter, he protected.
Yeah.
With a no-hitter going.
Right.
That's a tough. I mean, I get it. They're up 11 runs. Like,
yeah.
There's no need for him to be. If it's a 2-0 game, maybe Leiter stays in. Right. But I don't know. Like, I don't know how I would feel about that. Yes, he shouldn't have thrown again. He should have been taken out. He limit him to 100 pitches. He threw 120 the week before. But it's like, dude, I'm going to throw back-to-back no-hitters? Like, who does that? No one, ever.
Also, too, their bullpen is so deep.
Well, they ran out guys that the guy that finished up the game was, like he gave up a 3-run home.
Yeah.
Lost the shutout. He lost the no-hitter. He lost the shutout, and then gave up a bomb. And that was if Vanderbilt would have beat Missouri, given up one hit or no hits. Yeah, they could cruise through today. Or I'm sorry, not today, but when's the last game of the series? Saturday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday series.
Right.
Yeah. But you give them hope. Hey, man, we just in the bottom of the ninth. Yeah, we lost. We just scored 3 runs. We won an inning.
Right.
Because they had the bat shoved up their rear where it was, tickling their chest plate.
Oh, gosh.
Right? Like their sternum.
That's very
how far
high.
Up there it was. It was very high.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden you hit a 3-run pinch hit, 3-run home run. And it's like, oh, now all of a sudden I pulled that bat out. Now I feel like I got a chance. So we'll see what happens. Like I would think Missouri's not going to lay over. I think you get destroyed 2 games in a row by those pitchers. Your confidence is like, I just want to get through this series and move on to play somebody else. But I think now there's a little bit of life, in there. So hopefully it's a, I guess if we go back in time, since this is Monday, yeah, I don't want to give anything away.
No, we don't want to spoil it.
Even though we know who won the 3rd game of the series.
We do. Right.
We're not going to tell.
We know who won those NCAA tournament games too over the weekend.
Yeah, that's right. Big ones. Yeah. Big ones.
It's funny you mentioned that they get the bat shoved up their rear. But a lot of pro.
It happens.
A lot of people in professional baseball have their heads shoved so far up their rear that it's it's touching their sternum by some of the decisions they make.
I'm not going to touch that one.
No, that's on me, everybody. Ep did not say that was all me. James Anthony, that is all me. Thank you very much.
James Anthony, such a nice name.
I know. I was named backwards. Anthony. It should have been Anthony James.
AJ. Then you could have been AJ, like Anthony Jr. in The Sopranos.
Yeah.
I hated him. Such a bad kid.
He was a prick. I always liked his daughter. What's her name? Her real name's Jamie Lynn Sigler.
Yeah.
But
yeah. What was her name?
Yeah.
Meadow,
right. Awful name for an Italian. Meadow.
Awful.
One final point here, just overall in general, how do players go about preparing themselves to have a bounce back year? Just in general, as we wrap up the episode.
Don't do it again. What did we do? Don't
over.
do it again. Episode over. Don't do it again. Like, what did we do last year that we're not going to do again? Maybe it was, remember Mickey Tettleton used to eat Fruit Loops before every game. He was before you, but he was one of my favorite players. Like, make sure you eat Fruit Loops again.
Yeah.
If that's what it takes. All of a sudden, I had cavities. I better not have Fruit Loops anymore. We'll just brush your teeth more, right? Still have Fruit Loops if that works. Or maybe it's okay, I got exposed. What was my problem? I struck out a lot. You don't strike out a lot? Be more aggressive early in the count.
Right.
See if that works. Right. Or, geez, I rolled over a lot of stuff. Okay, let's work on, our top hand staying flatter. Let's work on hitting balls towards the middle of the field. Let's work on hitting balls the other way. Make a change. Maybe it's not a mechanical change. Maybe it's an approach change. Maybe it's a mental change. Maybe it's a preparation. What time I wake up in the morning? What do I do? Maybe I do yoga before the games to get centered, to get relaxed, to get stretched out. Maybe I have a different kind of meal that has more protein or more carbs or more fats or whatever I need to do, but don't do what you did the year before.
Yeah.
And by the way, the 6'7" guy I was telling you about was a 2018 Under Armour All-American and Perfect Game All-American.
Wow.
From San Diego.
Yeah.
And he was drafted in the 30th round, even though he was going to Vanderbilt.
How much stock, though, do you put to those perfect game rankings? I don't put too much stock into them.
When they're the top guys, I put stock into the top.
Okay.
Guys. If you're a 10, for the most part in there, you're usually like top 3 or 4 rounders.
Yeah.
Like they don't get those wrong. Those guys typically get drafted.
Right.
But there's a ton of misses in there too. Like there's a ton of guys that are just gamers. But those guys that are ranked really high, they're usually ranked high because they do something special, like they run a 6'5", or they throw 98 from the outfield, or they hit the ball 95 miles an hour, right? They're in the top 2% of all players physically. But you know what else they have? They have somebody like Vanderbilt who said, you know what, I've seen you play and you're good enough to play here. So we're going to verbally commit you as a sophomore. And then that person becomes an Under Armour All-American. So there's not a lot of misses with the All-American teams, but there are definitely misses in guys that are great players that may not rank very high on there because they're not physically gifted.
Yeah. They're
just gamers. And there's a lot of gamers out there you got to find.
By the way,
shout out to the Salukis of Southern Illinois for being gamers.
They're gamers.
I'm following the Salukis a lot because 2 of my guys I coached with at Mizzou are there now.
Okay.
So Lance Rhodes was our recruiting coordinator at Mizzou. He took over there. Brett Peel, who was our grad assistant, who I shared an office with. He's a good dude. He's there too. And then coincidentally, I had no idea where one of my online academy players was. All of a sudden I hear from him, hey, he's killing it. He hit 3 home runs this weekend at Southern Illinois. I'm like, what is he doing at Southern Illinois? I know all those guys. Anyway, Jake Peters. So one of the online guys, he hits 5th for him. He's killing it. I think the Salukis are 18-1. Let's go.
Do they listen to the podcast?
I don't know. Southern Illinois, they may not even have internet there.
Why is that
just kidding? I'm just kidding. It's kind of the sticks. Yeah, no,
sticky.
But they have a nice complex there. And Lance is, he's a very prepared. They're going to be good.
Are they D2?
They're aggressive. They're D1. They'd be like a mid-major team.
Yeah.
But they're like that scrappy, aggressive. Talk about guys that swing early in the count. Like they're offensive minded. They don't care who they're playing. They're going to swing the bat.
Yeah.
That's how you have to be.
Jack Leiter's last 16 innings, 0 hits, 26 strikeouts.
3 walks, right?
I don't
like that. It's like 3 walks. It's incredible.
Yeah.
They compared him last night to a guy that threw back-to-back no-hitters in the major leagues. And that guy had 11 walks in the 2 no-hitters and 3 strikeouts.
Yeah.
And then, Leiter was whatever you just said, and 3 walks or something. Crazy.
So who's your comp for Leiter? I'm putting you on the spot here. I'm just curious.
Oh, there's definitely somebody there because of his leg drive. Reminds me of somebody.
Not Matt Harvey. Matt Harvey had a very prominent leg drive.
He did. Yeah. I think I gave you the Mark Pryor, but obviously he doesn't pitch anymore. But man, when he was good, he was good. I don't know. You can't put me on the spot like that. You got to give me notes.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Am I not being a good podcast
Garrett
partner
Cole.
right now?
No, it's not Garrett Cole. I don't know. I'll write into Jimbo podcast at gmail.com.
Jimbo podcast 21.
Podcast 21.
At gmail.com.
Jimbo podcast.
We can always circle back to that next week and see what you think.
Because it's a good question.
It is. I'm trying to put myself on the spot here, and I'm curious because I'm looking down at my phone. And I'm watching a little bit of video here.
Yeah.
I would have said, I guess, Matt Harvey, but there's well, who does I guess Rocker kind of reminds me of
Leiter's lower. Like he gets low. His release point isn't really high because he gets so low with his legs and his torso is not real long, not real tall. I don't know. It's there was a guy named Jarrett Wright. He used to throw really hard back in the day for the Indians.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that. Like the really strong lower body guys. Bartolo. No, not Bartolo.
What about I had what about Bauer? Bauer's got a little bit of leg drive.
I thought Bauer, and then I thought the other guy.
Not Kluber.
Bueller.
Oh,
Bueller.
Bueller.
Kluber might not be a bad.
Those are my three.
Kluber might be a good one.
My four. Harvey.
Yeah.
Harvey, Bauer, Kluber.
You know who he really looks like though?
Who?
Al Leiter. He really looks a lot like Al Leiter.
It's funny how that works.
Face. Yeah.
It's funny how that works. You would think they're related.
Like a young Al Leiter from the right side. I don't know. All
right, so those are my three comps. Take them or leave them.
Nobody cares. This is a hitting podcast, Jim.
No. Nobody does care. Unfortunately, I think they should care more.
In my opinion.
They
should care. And here's my advice to you young hitters when you're facing somebody like Jack Leiter right now.
Yes.
Tell the coach your hamstring hurts and you can only pinch hit.
Yeah. And if you have to hit, I've said this before on the show, give your bat to God because your ass is Leiter's.
Wow.
That's true. What's true? I mean, the guy
true.
He strikes out everybody. So he could probably strike out God himself.
Never. God's a woman, by the way.
I'm kidding for all my.
Have we not talked about this?
Because your daughter listens to Ariana Grande, doesn't she? Don't they?
I have no idea. I was watching a show and they referred to God as a woman.
I'm kidding, by the way.
I never really thought about that.
I'm kidding for all of our religious listeners, by the way.
Yes.
But I mean, I will say Jack Leiter can probably give God a run for his money. I mean, God Almighty, guys.
God would have to have prepared.
Yeah, so those are my three: Bauer, Kluber, Harvey. My comps. I think he resembles more of Bauer than he does Kluber. Next week, I'll come up with a Kumar.
That's like your opinion, man.
Huh?
What movie is that from?
I didn't hear what you said.
That's like your opinion, man.
I don't know what movie is that from.
Big Lebowski. Yeah. Greatest movie ever made. We should have an episode on the Big Lebowski.
Should we have an episode on like the greatest movies ever, what our favorite movies are? No, we should have an episode on the movies you watch on the bus, on your bus rides.
They don't do that anymore.
No, what do they don't watch movies?
Slapshot. Best bus movie ever.
How about
no, Slapshot. It's been decided.
Top Gun. I fucking hate that movie. God Almighty. I hate that movie.
Good movie. It's a good movie. No, it's a good movie. Not a buzz movie. Slapshot for sure.
All right, wrapping up the show. Next week, I will have, that's my little tease, I will have a Kumar Rocker comp, as I did with Jack Leiter. I just came up with that, by the way, off the top of my head. You got to be proud of me. You don't seem proud. You don't seem proud of me.
Very proud. And Pete Alonso next week.
Yeah. We will be talking about Pete Alonso.
I'm picking up the slack because your ADD's kicking in.
Episode 49, April 5th, next week.
Oh.
Right after Easter. Good Monday for those who are religious people and Christians and Catholics out there. We will be doing our mechanical breakdowns.
Hey, what is Alonso's nickname? He's got a funny nickname.
Polar Bear.
Like the Polar Bear or
something. Polar Bear.
Polar Bear. It is Polar Bear.
Yeah. That's what they called me.
Good nickname.
In high school. Polar Bear.
And he looks just like Ray Donovan.
Oh, he does, doesn't he? I didn't think about that. Looks
just like him. Hey, so if we need a Pete Alonso comp, it's Liev Schreiber, the actor.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. Okay. We got that figured out. We got it early. We don't have to talk about it.
Right. I have a feeling you've had enough with I have a feeling you have enough with the comps. Enough about the comps already. Yeah, that's next week, episode 49, Mechanical Breakdown Series. Which volume is it? Hold on, let me look here. It doesn't say on my prep sheet. Well, whatever volume it is, we'll figure it out next week. And then after that, episode 50, and that will be creating opportunities, and that will be our first visual element episode on our YouTube page. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page, the Lab Epstein Hitting Podcast. And of course, new episodes every Monday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, Apple, Google, Spotify. And well, that's about all I have to say about that. As Stone Cold Steve Austin used to say when he was done his promo, when I used to watch wrestling as a kid, he'd be like, "That's all I have to say about that."
I thought that's what Forrest Gump said.
No. No, he said many things, but he never said that's all I have to say about that. And he never gave anybody the Stone Cold Stunner. That's what I'm going to do one day. If I have a daughter, I'm going to either tell I'm either going to assign myself or my son to give her boyfriend the Stone Cold Stunner.
Nice.
Yeah.
That could have paralyzed a lot of people.
Yeah, but it didn't. So
give
him a nice boom, Stone Cold Stunner. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Our ADD session is over. I hope you enjoyed that. And go Mizzou, right? Go Mizzou.
Yeah, go Mizzou.
Go Mizzou. We'll talk to you next week.
Salvage a series.
Salvage the series.
They did, right? That's right. Today's Monday.
We just spoiled it for everybody.
Yep.
Yep.
Or we didn't.
Who knows?
Or they got swept. I don't know. See, I just saved it.
We'll talk to you next week, everybody. Take care.